do you know any of the spiritual fiber of Charles and Nancy Dayton or Alexander White? And you mentioned that you didn't know much about Charles and Nancy Dayton except that they were bound for church that day, which tells me a lot. It tells me they were probably faithful Christians. And of course, Charles' mom and dad, Henry, on his gravestone, if you can determine anything from his gravestone, I can't remember the exact wording, but certainly the gravestone implied that he was bound for heaven and that he looked forward to seeing all his earthly friends and everything else there too when they got there. So that's very encouraging to me that we've probably got a lineage of at least 5 generations down to me that are all Christ-centered. Do you know anything about Alexander White? Do you know anything about his Christian character?
No, nothing at all. Only as I've formed my opinion of him from my relationship with my mother.
Right.
She certainly must have had some good people in her background there somewhere.
And of course, her mom was a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes, William, your grandma White Ramsey Dingman, her father was William Flansburg. William Flansburg was one of the actually, let me tell you a little bit about William Flansburg. And this is your great grandfather. He lived I don't know what kind of life he lived, but he didn't come to Christ until he was an adult. And I don't believe his parents or anything were Christ-centered or anything, but he came to know Christ as an adult, and shortly thereafter got interested in the ministry. He was a farmer, and he got interested in the ministry. As an adult, he studied and became a Free Will Baptist. And someplace along about 1850 or so, right around the same time when the Wesleyan Methodist movement started, he switched over to the Wesleyan Methodist Conference and became one of the very early Wesleyan Methodist ministers. This is William Flansburg, and had many Wesleyan churches in around the upstate New York area, including like Chestertown, Johnsburg, Hadley, and all up around that area. He died about 1890, and when he died, O.D. Putnam wrote him a very, very wonderful tribute, and Aunt Flossie had a copy of that tribute, and of course I now have it in my hands, and